We're joined now by independent Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, who's with us live from Burlington. And Senator, we know that budget negotiations really don't happen in a vacuum. And is it possible, is it at all possible, that Democrats could actually gain the upper hand in these budget rounds because Republicans simply do not want to take their eye off the ball of going after the health care law?
Well, I think that's a real possibility. And I think the main thing that we have going for us is most of the people in the United States of America do not believe at a time when the wealthy and large corporations are doing phenomenally well that we should move to a deficit reduction simply on the backs of the elderly and the children and the sick and the poor. Poll after poll shows that most Americans think that very profitable corporations, who in some cases are paying nothing in federal income taxes, that we've got to end those loopholes, and they have got to contribute to help us create jobs and deal with the deficit.
I mean, and you do hear the president talking about jobs in California, Senator, and jobs in the economy have really been the focus of most Americans' anxiety, including going into this holiday season. Is there any chance, in your estimation, that something could get done in that budget deal that would actually impact jobs in the economy? Any new investments in infrastructure,
well, Joy,
anything like that?
That is a great question, and that is precisely what the American people want. People legitimately are concerned about the deficit. We all are. But what people are concerned about even more is that real unemployment, counting those people who have given up looking for work and those people who are working part-time when they want to work full-time, that real unemployment in this country is close to 14%, that youth unemployment is close to 20%, and we're seeing greater and greater income and wealth inequality in this country. So I think that is precisely what the American people want us to do. I have fought very hard within the Budget Committee to put a significant sum of money into rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, into energy efficiency, and if we do those things, we can create a significant number of decent-paying jobs.
Now, Senator, you know, in trying to do that, you obviously have an opposition in the Senate. I'm curious to give me your estimation, just how big is the Ted Cruz caucus, the opposition caucus that swirls around the let's do nothing in the Senate? How big is that caucus, do you think?
Well, you have a Republican Party which has moved over the years to the right, and then you have the extreme right of Cruz, of Rand Paul, of a few others. They're not very significant in terms of numbers, but what they have been very impactful about is being very aggressive in their obstructionism and making sure that Congress does not address the real issues facing the American people. So over and over again, we are seeing the demand for 60 votes on presidential appointees, slowing down the process and making it impossible for us to deal with jobs, for us to raise the minimum wage, to deal with gender equality in the workforce, to deal with the crisis of global warming. We don't even discuss those issues because we're so engaged in these parliamentary procedures.
And clearly the Republicans did take a hit. They took a polling hit after the Cruz-inspired shutdown, and that seemed to chase them just for about 10 seconds, Senator, but they have come roaring back. And now you do have Republicans who are holding, an advantage, or at least have evened it out with the Democrats in terms of 2014. How worried are your Democratic colleagues with whom you caucus about 2014, and how confident are the Republicans with whom you serve that they might be able to take over the Senate?
Well, I think, who knows who will take over the Senate. Certainly the Republicans could do that, and certainly the Democrats could retain strong control over the Senate. We've got a long way to go to the election. I think what the Democrats have been very concerned about is the rollout of the Affordable Care Act, and the Republicans have been all over that issue. I think what the Democrats have going for them is that our Republican friends believe that the way you deal with the deficit, which, by the way, as the president just mentioned, has been cut in half in the last 4 years, that you do not, what the Democrats, or most Democrats at least, believe is that we don't cut Social Security, which Republicans want to do. You don't cut Medicare or transform Medicare into a voucher program. You don't make massive cuts in terms of Medicaid, education, or nutrition programs, all of which the Republicans want, and all of which is massively unpopular. And what the Republicans also want to do is defend the wealthy and large corporate interest and prevent them from paying their fair share of taxes. So I think if the issue revolves around how we create jobs, how we deal with wealth and income inequality, and by the way, the Pope today just made an extraordinary statement on unfettered capitalism and what it means when so few have so much and so many have so little. I hope that's a lesson that the Congress can absorb. But I think if you focus on the economy, I think the Democrats will do just fine.
All right, and a fitting message as we head into the Thanksgiving holiday, focusing on inequality. Thank you so much, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Thank you.
All right, and coming up, we're going to get into the Supreme Court decision today to take up the contraception and the Affordable Care Act.